What if you could see a neighborhood's future, say 10 years before it even happens? I mean, what if you knew with almost scary accuracy which quiet little street was about to become the next big thing? For so long, real estate has been a game of gut feelings, right? A bit of local knowledge, a healthy dose of luck. Well, that's all changing. We are walking right into an era where AI is turning real estate from a gamble into a data-driven science. So how exactly is this new oracle changing our world? Let's dive in. It's a huge question, right? But it gets right to the heart of what this technology is promising. And look, we're not just talking about predicting house prices anymore. We're talking about using artificial intelligence to fundamentally rethink how our cities grow, how they function, and how they serve all the people who actually live in them. So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at AI's new urban blueprint and how it's just completely changing the game. Then we'll get into the rise of what are called agentic cities and their digital copies. From there, we'll pivot to the really serious social costs of this tech, check out the digital guardrails being built to manage the risks, and finally, we'll talk about what it really means to go from just guessing to pure calculation. Okay, let's start with the basics. The really fundamental shift here is moving away from what we think we know about a neighborhood and moving toward what the data tells us is actually going to happen next. It's a total rewiring of how we understand the places we live. For years, the gold standard in real estate has been comps, comparables. You figure out a house's value based on what similar houses nearby sold for recently. The whole thing is entirely backward-looking. But AI, it just flips that whole script. It's not about the past at all. It's about analyzing the very DNA of a neighborhood to predict its future. And when I say DNA, I mean wow. We're talking about some seriously detailed data. These AI models are looking at millions of tiny data points a person could never possibly track. We're talking about everything from the vibe of social media posts tagged on a specific block to permit filings for projects that haven't even been announced to the public yet. It can even quantify something as abstract as the Instagrammability of the local architecture. It's all about spotting those faint signals of change way, way before they become obvious trends. Okay, so now let's see what happens when you take this predictive power and scale it up, like way up. Because this isn't just for investors. It's leading to this incredible new concept, agentic AI, that can literally model, simulate, and even help manage entire cities by creating a perfect digital copy. And that digital copy, it's called a digital twin. Just imagine a perfect one-to-one virtual replica of a city. Every single building, every road, every power line. It's basically like playing SimCity, but it's powered by real-time, real-world data. And on this model, planners can run simulations that would be impossible in real life, testing decades of growth in just a few seconds. The things you can do with this are genuinely transformative. These systems can use the digital twins to manage a city proactively. We're talking optimizing traffic flow to stop gridlock before it starts, monitoring buildings for problems before they get critical, balancing the entire energy grid, and, maybe most important of all, testing the real impact of a new policy, like a new bike lane, before a single shovel ever hits the ground. And this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. Because the promise of a perfectly efficient, optimized city is, well, it's pretty amazing. But here's the thing. Efficiency and fairness are not the same thing. So what happens when the algorithm's perfect solution creates huge, real-world problems for actual people? This brings us right to the algorithm's social cost. Because when an AI can perfectly predict the next hot neighborhood, it can also put gentrification into overdrive. You could accidentally create a system that basically puts accelerating inequality on autopilot. And look, this isn't some theoretical fear. Governments are already trying to get their heads around this. A recent White House memo about AI makes it crystal clear, saying that government agencies have to be especially attentive to the potential risks to underserved communities. The concern is real, and it's being talked about at the very highest levels. In fact, official documents have already flagged several high-risk ways AI is being used in housing today that are already impacting people's lives. For instance, AI models screening tenants could bake in biases about who gets approved for a home. Algorithms setting property values could unintentionally devalue entire neighborhoods. And the AI that helps underwrite mortgages, it could deny loans based on flawed or biased data. This isn't a what-if scenario. This is happening right now. And this all points to the core danger here, something called digital redlining. See, if you train an AI on decades of historical housing data, and let's be honest, that data reflects a long history of segregation and discrimination, well, the AI is going to learn those biases. Then it can amplify them and project them into the future. You've effectively created a new automated form of discrimination that's just baked right into the code. So, faced with this incredible power and this pretty significant risk, what's the solution? Well, this brings us to the global push to build digital guardrails, all the policies and regulations designed to make sure AI is built and used responsibly. We're seeing a pattern here that's a lot like what happened with data privacy a few years back. You remember all those privacy policy update emails? That was mostly because of a European law called GDPR that became the global standard. Well, something similar is happening now. Regulations like the EU AI Act are setting a new global benchmark for AI safety, transparency, and fairness. And these regulations aren't just talk, they're translating into real action. In the US, for example, there's now a clear three-step framework for high-risk AI. First, you have to test the AI for bias. Second, if you find any, you have to actively work to fix the harm it could cause. And third, and this one is a huge deal, you have to actually go out and consult the communities that are going to be most affected by the technology. And you know what? These guardrails have some serious teeth. That same White House memo says that if an agency can't adequately fix an AI system that's creating a risk of discrimination, the mandate is simple. They have to stop using it. Period. That's a powerful statement that shows just how seriously these risks are being taken. So, after all that, where does this leave us? Well, we are witnessing a massive shift in one of the world's oldest and biggest industries. We are moving from a world of speculation to a world of pure calculation. And that means we have to be incredibly thoughtful and deliberate about how we build the future. If there's one big takeaway, it's this. The technological upgrade to real estate is here and it's not going anywhere. The algorithms are only going to get smarter, the predictions more accurate. So our challenge isn't to stop the technology, it's to steer it. The goal can't just be about creating a perfect market or a perfectly efficient city. The goal has to be about building a fair one. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? We have the tools to model, predict, and shape our urban future with a power we've never had before. But can we actually encode our values? You know, things like equity, fairness, and community into the very algorithms that are drawing the blueprint. That's the challenge that's going to define the next generation of our cities.